Okay, so there's a good question about ladies wearing tzitzit. Okay, in my understanding, and also from observing our older brother Judah and all of their history, generally speaking, the women did not wear tzitzit. The men did, okay? Now let's understand that there is two kinds of commandments in your scriptures. You have positive commandments, those are the do's. And negative commandments, those are the don'ts. And they're not negative meaning they're bad, but they're things not to do, okay? Don't do this, and do this. There's not a single commandment for women not to wear tzitzit. So there's no negative commandment there. There also isn't really overtly a positive commandment either. Well, it says to the children of Israel, and we're children too. Well, actually, Bnei Israel is more sons of Israel, and so it can be easily interpreted to men. And you need to understand, ladies, and this is tough, this is not dishonoring, this is not disrespectful, this is simply the facts. Every bit of your book, especially in the Tanakh, was written to the men. Even when it involved the women, it was written to the men who would then share it with their wives or share it with the ladies in the community. Because that was the hierarchy of communication. The leadership was given the information and they shared it with the men. You see this all the time. What does Moses do? He gathers the men of Israel, the elders of Israel, shares the information, and they go out and they share it with everybody else. So there's not a single instruction that was given to anyone but a man, even if it was about a woman. That doesn't diminish you guys at all. Just understand, that's also how, remember, woman was taken out of Adam, and there was a relationship and a hierarchy there. Not hierarchy of value, hierarchy in the chain of communication, let's call it that way. I won't even use the word authority, because only the authority starts with Yahweh and Yeshua, and then if he puts an authority in there like a Moses or something. But men in general are the hierarchy of communication. Now there's an authority if it's your father, physical father, if it's your husband, there's authorities because of those relationships. But the communication went to the men first. So, ladies, should you be wearing them? I don't know what to say there because I'm looking historically and I'm trying to interpret the verse. So I don't think you'd ever be wrong to wear them. Actually, I know you would never be wrong to wear them because there's no negative command. When I say that you'd be wrong if you didn't wear them, I think that would be a stretch. You are covered in a sense always by your husband, your father, or your leader, or whatever, and they're wearing it. And if they're wearing it, you can see it on them. And the whole point is that it be seen as a reminder to keep the commandments. Numbers 15, okay? So just understand that. So when we ask the question, no, I don't think Yahweh will look down on you if you have decided that you feel comfortable to be covered by whoever is covering you, and that as long as they're wearing it, that covers you. Now, if you have a husband or leadership that isn't wearing it, you're not covered, you may want to go ahead and wear them. Even if you are covered, you may want to wear them. Okay, it's a good question, but no, I don't think I think the ladies would love to wear them. I don't think there's hardly any lady out there that would be reluctant. Here's where the problem the ladies run into. You ladies want to colorify, I don't know what the right word is for that. You want to make them different colors. Colorize is, I guess, because you're thinking them more as accessories. Well, if I put green or purple or this or that, it'll match my clothes, and I want to wear that set of tzitzit with that outfit. They're not an accessory, and they're not a fashion statement. Don't put beads in them. Don't put other colors in them. Well, and there's lots of videos by some pretty big name ministries out there that don't agree with me on this. Well, it says that one string has to be blue and we can do whatever we want with the other strings. It doesn't say that. It says take one string, make it blue. The default, Peshat, simple understanding would be leave the other strings alone. And so they would have likely gotten the whitest string they could have found, because after all, if they got black string, like off of a sheep that had darker wool, because they made them generally out of wool, that they would have not been able to see the blue. So for the blue to really pop out, they would have gotten the whitest string. Now, bear in mind, they weren't bleaching the string and everything else, so it was not going to be perfect. It would have been little shades of like off-white or yellow or a little brown in some of the string, little places. Think about the tzitzit, though. Everybody, including the Jews, understands that the blue thread represents what? Mashiach. They all do. It's got a royal blue, kingly blue. It's Mashiach. The Jews understand this as well. And so what is this? King Mashiach is wrapped around the white strings that are actually blemished, imperfect, but mostly as white as they can be. You know what that represents? It represents you. When you sin, what does it do? It stains you. If I take this white piece of paper here and I spill something like grape juice on it, I could maybe clean the paper. Let's say it wasn't paper, it was made out of cloth or something. I could clean it, but would it still be stained? Possibly. So yes, you are washed clean by the blood of Yeshua. You are forgiven of your sins, but that doesn't mean there's not stain still there. Now it says that the bride, when she makes herself ready, is wearing an unblemished, perfect white outfit. You know why? Because at the moment before the wedding, you get to put on Yeshua and his righteousness. Because your righteousness will always be filthy rags. Your righteousness will always be full of all the stains of every dumb thing you ever did. Yes, they're clean in that you've been washed clean. Okay, if you've got children, you know your children have lots of clothing that is clean but not clean. Lots of stains. I used to play outside and had grass stains on everything that I ever had to wear. All my pants, grass stains. Because I was rolling in it, falling in it, tackling the other, fighting in it, whatever. I had green stains in my pants always. Now, they were clean. My mother washed them. And so we sin often enough that I promise you, filthy rags is probably a good description. And so imagine now the white tzitzit, which you can only get with white, wrapped now with the righteousness of Yeshua to cover all of that stain and all that blemish. You cannot get this imagery wearing rainbow-colored tzitzit. So don't be putting the purples and the oranges and the greens and the browns and the 5 different shades of blue and everything else in there. Because I ask people all the time, well, why do you put those things in your tzitzit? They go, because I can. What do you mean because you can? Well, because in the scripture it says I can do whatever I want with it. It does not. It does no such thing. And I know a lot of people don't respect the Jewish community. But if you go to the Jewish community, they wear white tzitzit. And for a long time, they didn't even wear the blue because they had lost touch with where the blue was, and they were wanting to just get the exact right blue, whatever. But you never see them wearing multicolored tzitzit. Ever in history. They wore white with one blue. And today, they're doing it again. As a matter of fact, the ones I wear come from an Orthodox source where they believe they've got that techelet blue, which is a specific shade of blue, and white with the blue. Okay, so to answer your question, Diana, you're welcome to wear tzitzit, but just wear white with blue. Okay, all white, one blue. And by the way, it's really funny. All those people out there, they go, well, I don't have to bow down to the Jews. Really? So how many strings do you use? And how do you knot it? They almost all do it exactly the way the Jews do. They just want to do it with the colors they want. Well, then why don't you just change the way it looks completely if you don't want to do what the Jews do? Because there isn't a verse in here that tells you how many strings to use or how to attach it to your clothing or what it looks like. The only way we know is because of the existence of Judah, which we're told in Genesis that a teacher will not depart, the scepter will not depart from between the legs of Judah, between his feet. So they're supposed to be existing for a reference. Not that they get the authority to dictate to us how we do things with all their Mishnah and the Talmud and how they do things. But when you don't know, and the Bible doesn't tell us, looking at how they do it is a good starting point. I didn't say just do whatever they do, but it's a good place to start. Now, of course, if you have a teacher, go to your teacher. That's a better place to start, because maybe your teacher's already had this question come up maybe 50,000 times, okay? And has an answer for it. By the way, I did this exact little back and forth one time at a conference where there was a prominent other speaker there wearing purple tzitzit at the time. And I wasn't paying any attention as I'm like totally eviscerating wearing anything but blue and white. My wife pointed out, she goes, you do realize that so-and-so was wearing purple? I said, oh yeah, well, look, I'm not afraid. But wouldn't you know, to give him respect, the next day when he spoke, he was wearing a blazer and he opened up and said, for the sake of my brother Steve here, I'm wearing blue today. Amen. I don't know what he did after that, but at least, I'm just showing you that, that also when it comes to the MAGA thing, I didn't have any fear knowing full well I had other people sitting at the table there with me in the discussion wearing rainbow-colored tzitzit to stand up there and say, this is not right. Okay? Now, what I won't do, so you learn the full lesson that we talked about today, I will not come up to you with your rainbow tzitzit and correct you. I answered your question because you asked me. You see the difference? I'm not going to come over and give you grief. You'll hear it enough and figure it out enough. At some point, you'll make the decision, hopefully, and you'll correct what needs to be corrected. But I'm not going to come over and give you grief because you're wearing something that I don't think you should. Now, if you're in leadership, that's a different story because you're going to be up here representing what we're teaching in leadership, and I'd expect that differently. And I hope you understand the difference there.